not enough healthy and affordable options. Did you know that the Student Rec Center was built too small for a campus of our size? This is why it's always been packed in the workout areas, why you can't get in a fitness class, and why the cardio space is always busy. The TSU and SRC, both run by ASI and paid for by our fees, are aging and needing repair badly. Maintaining these buildings is expensive. Because of rising costs of maintenance, ASI is unable to fund student clubs and organizations adequately. Club funding has decreased by nearly 20% in the last 6 years. As the costs for these buildings keep rising, ASI will have less funding for clubs, organizations, concerts, and events.
Now, let's get to the solutions. Let's talk about the future, our future, because you matter, we matter. Let's get into the solutions we are proposing to address these challenges CSUF students are experiencing. As we move through the following slides, for each proposed solution, you'll find the corresponding fee ranges at the bottom of each page. Our first proposed solution to our campus wellness challenges is to create a Titan Spa. This holistic wellness center would provide complimentary wellness services to live more balanced lives between work and school. Depending on your feedback as students, you will all help determine the fee range for this wellness center solution. Again, as we move through the slides, you will see semesterly fee ranges at the bottom of each page.
And it's time to create a one-stop shop for basic needs services. This can help reduce barriers to access and improve efficiency when providing care for our students. No more running from one basic needs office to another.
afternoon, Titans. We're so happy to have you all here. My name is Austin Isais, he, him pronouns. I'm the manager of student programs and engagement here at ASI, and we're excited to have you all here for Hunter Schafer. So first thing I want to do is thank Vice President Osigera and her office for all the support. Without her, none of this is possible. So thank you all. Also, for a lot of you that came in here early, you were able to see our Wellness Initiative video. We'll be showing a QR code at the end. There's a very short survey we'd love for you all to take. Please take that. It's only going to help us with the information you give us. But let's get this show on the road. I'm ready to introduce to the stage Mira Martinez, our Chief Communications Officer.
Sorry for disappointing you at first. But hello everyone, my name is Mira Martinez, the Chief Communications Officer for Associated Students. First, I'd like to introduce our ASI President, Lydia Kelly. Now, I'm very excited to introduce our distinguished guest, Hunter Schafer. Hunter Schafer is an actress and artist best known for playing Jules Vaughn on HBO's Emmy Award-winning series Euphoria. Most recently, Hunter just wrapped production on Francis Lawrence's highly anticipated Hunger Games prequel, starring alongside Viola Davis, Peter Dinklage, Tom Blythe, and Rachel Ziegler. Before that, she wrapped filming the neon feature Kuko by Tillman Singer. And before landing Euphoria, Hunter worked as a fashion model for famous brands such as Calvin Klein, Dior, Helmut Lang, Marsh & Margiela, Marc Jacobs, Miu Miu, Vera Wang, Versace, and Rick Owens. Schafer has appeared on the cover of many popular magazines such as Harper's Bazaar, Allure, Teen Vogue, V, and Paper. Teen Vogue nominated Hunter for its 2017 21 Under 21 list. Now, Titans, please join me in giving a warm welcome to Hunter Schafer.
This is really cool. Welcome to Cal State Fullerton, Hunter.
Thank you.
We're so excited to have you here tonight. I just want to start off by saying there are 700 students here right now.
Crazy. Thank you guys for being here. It's nuts.
And we have a couple hundred more actually sitting down in the TSU pub, and they're watching live right now. So thank you all for coming here tonight. I want to say we're so excited to have you here. This is our fourth speaker that we've had, and I want to say for this speaker event, this is the most highly RSVP'd, highly requested from our students. So we're so glad to have you, and I want to start off with the first question. Who is Hunter Schafer?
Well, I just want to say thank you again for coming. I can't believe colleges want me to talk to you guys. It's still setting in as a reality, but I'm going to do my best to share what I can with you guys today. And as far as the answer to that first question, I mean, y'all got a very lovely bio at the beginning, but as far as who I am outside of like career stuff, you know, I'm a pastor's daughter from North Carolina, and have been kind of figuring out how to exist in the world since then. Sorry, I was not.
No, that's great.
It's been a while since I've publicly spoken, but I'm getting back into
you're
it.
all good. We're so excited to learn more about you and hear more about your story and your journey. And let's start off with some personal questions. You know, what kind of started you off in the entertainment industry? Okay.
Let's see. It started me off in the entertainment industry. I guess is modeling entertainment, or is that yes? Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. So as far I was never looking to become a part of the entertainment industry, at least in front, like being in front of the camera. That was never ever the plan. I've been pretty shy my whole life, and really loved like behind the scenes stuff and like visual arts, and you know, like I was involved in the drama program in high school, but I was doing tech theater. You know, I was doing like the behind the scenes stuff and helping build the sets. Like that's what I thought I was going to be involved in. Like as I got closer to finishing high school, I knew I really wanted to pursue something in fashion, and it's something I paid a lot of attention to in my free time. And I also knew that I was 5'10" and pretty scrawny, and that is oftentimes a requirement for like runway modeling. And I had done like a little, someone had taken a picture of me at a museum that I used to volunteer for in Raleigh, and that photographer knew who would be my mother agent, and so that's how that connection kind of started before I finished high school. So I did like my first job in my senior year, and that gave me enough money to move myself out to New York and start the modeling thing. So that was the beginning. Obviously a lot's happened since then, but yeah.
What a beautiful beginning. I think really with the entertainment industry, it's such a rounded community. You know, people can get involved in so many ways. And specifically here at Cal State Fullerton, we have the visual arts and we also have our performance arts. Ooh. So we have, you know, kind of different realms that students can get involved in. And with that, I think comes this question. How do you deal with criticism or, I guess, negative feedback about your work?
Yeah. I mean, it's something I think we all have to deal with, especially like students in the arts. I'm sure critique is like involved in like your curriculum in one way or another. I remember in high school in art class we had to critique each other, and it was always so terrifying. I kind of deal with critique at a much larger scale now than, you know, I kind of ever could have imagined. But thankfully, I'm genuinely really proud of most of the work I've put out into the world, and I've known that I'm proud of it and that I feel like secure in like the artistic truth of it and whatnot before it ever came out and before it was ever open to critique. And so I think that like feeling secure in that feeling honestly makes receiving any sort of criticism much easier, because at the end of the day, art is cool because it's for you, and you know, like that's that's like why it's the best. That's why, you know, we're pursuing careers in it, and it's like magical for that reason. So yeah, but it's weird, like having very high-profile strangers saying saying like harsh things about something that you put like almost a year of your life into, and but I don't know. At the same time, I think if you're not receiving criticism, you're probably not doing something right, you know? Like that's also what art is for, is you know, creating conversation. Not everyone's gonna love it. Yeah, that's okay.
Thank you for that. I know that you say, I really love that you say art is cool because it's for you. And I think that's really important and resonates with our students, because in our arts programs, our students apply to the concentration. So they could be taking classes not knowing if they're going to be accepted. And so kind of on this topic of criticism, how do you deal with rejection?
Yeah, it's definitely something, modeling in particular, really, I feel kind of lucky that I started out as a model before becoming an actor, because however many projects you're going out for as an actor, you're going out for like 10 times more as a model, because I mean it's less work usually. You just kind of got to like have a picture of your face, and maybe you got to do a walk for these people, but that's kind of it. And you know, you'll get told you're going out for 20 different things, and you usually only book like 5 of them. And I think at first it's really easy to be like, ooh, okay, why was I not good enough for those 15 other designers that were able to just throw my picture away and forget about me? And like in reality, you just kind of have to like outsmart yourself, I guess, in those circumstances, to be like, because like the weird thing about these entertainment jobs also is you are pushing yourself to become a part of somebody else's world and somebody else's vision, you know? So like the best you can do is just like show up and like bring what you have to the table. And if that doesn't fit, if that's like not a piece of the puzzle, it's hard not to take it personally, but like that's how the business works, you know? And I think also like now having been on the other side where I'm starting to be in positions where I'm like having to pick people out of people who are applying to be a part of projects that I'm working on, or something like that, it's easier to understand like how not personal it is, because you know, productions and stuff like that are just like very intricate puzzles, and there are only so many pieces that are going to fit. And yeah, it's really not that personal at the end of the day, I guess.
Yeah, the entertainment industry really is a fast-paced environment. There's always someone that's always trying to get to the next level, always trying to be the best. And let's really dive in and talk about those projects. What has been your personal favorite project to work on, and why?
I mean, I know, well, honestly, like, I only have one thing out right now, and it's probably the thing that most of the people here like know me from, if you're familiar with me, Euphoria. Yeah. And I mean, obviously, I mean, it's been one of the most life-changing and like kind of mind-blowing experiences ever, considering it was my acting school. And in my first acting project, and it just kind of like broke me open, as far as like being an actor goes. So of course, in some ways, I have to say Euphoria is my favorite, but also, like Euphoria came out in like 2019. I'm so excited. I love Euphoria. I'm so excited to start talking about other things that I've done, because I have been working since then. It's just not out yet. And you know, obviously the things haven't come out yet, so I can't say too much about them. But I think Cuckoo I filmed last year, and it was the first script that I found after Euphoria that I really loved, and it's a really special movie. I haven't seen it yet, but making it was really, really incredible. Yeah, I wish I could talk more about it. I'm really excited, but it's coming out this year, so like, yeah, at some point you'll get to see that. That's my other favorite.
We're so excited to hear and learn more about those projects. And I guess kind of an overall question, how do you approach your character development when it comes to preparing for each of these roles?
I think it's been different with every role that I've taken on. And you know, that list is still not very long, and I'm still very much figuring out like what I'm doing. Like, I didn't go to acting school. I don't know like the methods or anything, and really the only like acting teacher I've had is like Sam Levinson, who's the creator of Euphoria, who's really like shown me the ropes. I mean, I feel really lucky I started out with Jules because she was basically like 1 or 2 steps away from who I was at the time. I was 19 when I was cast in the show, and started filming. And, you know, I basically sent the costume designer like everything, all the clothes that like I couldn't afford that I just like wanted to be wearing at the time, you know? And like helped create that as like part of what Jules is. Like, she was really like 1 or 2 steps away from who I was at the time, and that was really nice because the character work didn't take that much work with her. I kind of just like got to be myself and learn how like the emotional part of acting works while just being myself. Whereas like something with Hunger Games, which I can talk about because the book is out, so I can like talk about that a little bit. With like Tigress, she's like a character who already has a blueprint in a book, and there's like an author who's imagined her and already done character work, and now I'm coming into that, having to like fill the shoes of that person, you know. And so that kind of like, as far as like character work goes, someone like Tigress required kind of more like research on Panem, like the world that the Hunger Games lives in, and you know, having to read the book and annotate and take notes, and there's this whole like kind of preparation element that just like wasn't there for Euphoria. But I'm really happy that it happened in that order, you know, because I kind of had a better sense of like how acting worked by the time I had to start doing character work, if that makes sense. Yeah.
You know, I really commend you for getting involved in acting and the entertainment industry, and it's really beautiful that you have an experience training. You spoke about acting school and how you don't know all the methods and the techniques, and there's obviously other actors that have been in training since they were in probably diapers, right? So how do you maintain a positive attitude in that high pressure environment where people have been in acting classes for their entire life?
Yeah, it's definitely strange. Because like, yeah, I'm being thrown into these projects, as, you know, Viola Davis is in Hunger Games, and I have like 1 credit on IMDb, and it's just like really crazy to be in the same rooms as those people and feel like I'm supposed to be there, because of just the vast difference in our like experience and just like time in the industry and whatnot. But I mean, at the same time, I think like, yeah, it's another situation where you kind of just like have to outsmart yourself and kind of, even if you don't feel like you should be there, trick yourself into, you know, it's kind of like a fake it till you make it situation. ultimately, imposter syndrome is also distracting and I think reductive to the work that you're actually there to do. So whatever is necessary in order to like get myself out of that headspace, I'm probably going to end up doing, because it's not helpful. But yeah, it is a real thing. It's a crazy world that I'm working in. Yeah. Thank you for clapping every time.
A lot of times they say it's about who you know, not necessarily what you know. And I think you kind of touched a little bit on those connections. I want to talk a little bit about the networking. How do you approach networking and building professional relationships with other actors in the industry?
Yes, I was going over these questions last night, and I was like thinking about this one and how to like answer it in a truthful way that I also think is like, I don't know. I think, and maybe it's just because I'm in like the Hollywood scene, but I think like the idea of networking gets a little like funky, and it is important, and it's like, and it is like who you know, and that's how these things happen. But I think maybe it's also because I have social anxiety, but I think like approaching a room full of people as like a job opportunity, I think kind of brings the like humanity out of it a little bit. And the whole idea, it scares me, a little bit. But I'm also a really like socially anxious person, and rooms full of people are a little tough in general. But I think like versus the kind of like classic going into a room and seeing what you can make happen in there, I think it's like this kind of goes into like social media and advocating for yourself. I think if you're putting out your own work and sort of advocating for yourself, and I guess this goes for like artists or anybody who's like making stuff and trying to like do something with that. I think it's like really important to be putting stuff out and like having somewhere, like for me it was Instagram, where there's kind of like a clear picture of who you are or who you are becoming as like an artist or a person making stuff or whatever, that you can be promoting your own work on. And I think it also puts you in a better position as far as collaborating with other people, because then there's already like a kind of more clear idea of who you are, and you don't get pushed into positions that you like where you're not bringing what you have to the table, you're becoming a part of somebody else's vision, versus like, if people come to you looking to collaborate, looking to make stuff together, and they know who you are and they can see that and like feel that, I think like that feels like safer in a way, as far as like protecting your integrity and like your life as like an artist too, because everyone like has their own stuff to say, and I think it's really easy to get like sucked into the business and like collaborating. But I don't know, that wasn't like a super straightforward answer, but it's hard to think about.
No, I really appreciate the honesty, and I think something that really stuck out to me is that you said these relationships can often get like funky. How do you navigate those challenges, or like difficult work relationships, if it's like a client, a colleague, someone that you're just working with, and it can get difficult?
I mean, yeah, it's really strange, because at the end of the day, it's all a business and it's all about money, and most of the big decisions that are being made about these, like these films or whatever, it's all part of this equation in marketing. And it's kind of like one of the uglier parts of the industry that I don't think you don't see from the outside, and then you go inside. I remember coming into it as a model, and then like being inside the fashion industry and just being like, oh God, this is not like the Disneyland thing that I thought it was gonna be. Wait, what was the original question? I'm sorry.
How you navigate the difficult relationships.
Oh, yeah. I guess it also depends on what position you're in, because I could answer that question as like an actor, or I could answer it as like a director, and all of these things have been different when I'm in these different positions and working with people. But I guess like the thread that like connects it all is that beyond the business, it's really intimate, because like ideally everybody is bringing their like raw truth to what you're making. That's like the goal. That's like what we want in most of these situations, whether it's acting or directing. And like that's gonna cause friction because it gets uncomfortable, and it's hard. And so I think going into stuff like that, anticipating it and being prepared for it helps, like as much as you can. And also, once again, trying to not take it too like personally. If like, you know, someone calls cut, but someone's still fully in the emotions of whatever scene you're filming, that can be like scary and really like throw you off. But like that's like part of the job. Like we're humans, we're not robots. So just kind of like not taking it too personally, I guess. Yeah.
You kind of emphasize that everyone's here to share their raw truth. And so I know everyone's on the edge of their seats. And we want to talk about Euphoria. So we're going to transition into some Euphoria questions.
Sure.
I want to say each student here has resonated with the character in the show. And I think it's made, I know for me, when it first came out, I binge watched all of season 1, literally in one night. So can you tell us about Euphoria? Tell us about a particularly challenging scene that you had to film and how you approached it.
Yeah. Let's see. Over the past 2 seasons, there's been a lot, the show gets pretty heavy sometimes. There's like physically strenuous scenes sometimes, and you could call those hard, or like complicated choreography for walking or whatever. But I think the hardest stuff is always gonna be like the emotionally heightened scenes. Just because, I mean, I've been doing this like 5 years now, and I'm like more comfortable. It's still crazy that, I have to like show up to work and be ready to like induce myself into a panic attack, like for a job or something like that, and like make that happen in like my body, So I mean, there's been a few scenes with Jules like where it's had to get like really dark. I would say for the special episode, probably that's like less viewed than the actual show. But for anyone who doesn't know Euphoria, while we were in the pandemic, Sam and Z and I worked on making these like special episodes, one about Rue and one about Jules. And I co-wrote that episode and got to write the Jules episode and got to help put together some of those scenes. But there are some really intense dream sequences in there where I just kind of really had to. It was scary, like just letting yourself go there, because I don't even let myself act like that in front of other people in real life. Like, haven't done that before, so it's weird to push yourself to a place that you wouldn't even let yourself go in real life, because then you're like getting into like who you are as a person, and like the parts that you don't let anybody see and that you haven't even seen, and that's like scary. So special episode, I think, was probably the hardest. Yeah.
So I know you spoke a little bit about the character of Jules and how it's emotionally heightening for you. Can you talk to us a little bit about kind of what drew you to the character of Jules and what your connection is?
I mean, like I said before, I wasn't looking for it. And you know, this opportunity with Euphoria it really did like fall into my lap, and the only decision making I kind of ended up having to do after the audition process was just like, okay, do I want to do this? And abandon like the kind of life that I thought I was gonna have, and like give this a shot or not. And so I think that's where like being drawn to Jules came in, because the way she was written, and also the frequency of the show and the way the show was written, even before, you know, there was a pilot episode, it was like visceral, and I could like see what it was. And I feel like that's always a sign of like a good script or like good writing too. I mean, everyone's experienced it with like, you know, a good book where like you're reading, but you're not even like looking at the words. You're completely immersed in some visual world in your head, you know? So that's like what it felt like with the script, where I was like, oh, I can see this, I can hear it, and I can see Jules, and I can feel an alignment in me with her. So like I guess that's where I was drawn, and also just the fact that like HBO was offering me more money than I'd ever seen in my whole life. So, you know, like how are you gonna say no to that? It's there.
Let's talk more about that alignment that you feel in terms of your connection to Jules. What connection do you want viewers to feel when they see Jules?
I mean, it's something I have to be kind of careful about, like thinking about how I want it to be received, because at the end of the day, I don't have control over that. But I think like ideally, obviously Jules has been like a pretty big, or like a prevalent step in, I think, the right direction in like trans representation in like television. You know, yeah, I mean, there's still not a lot of trans people like in the productions, and you know, we've been like in the midst of like this movement for a while now, and it's still, you know, it's still a little rough out there for the dolls. So yeah, I think, wait, what was the question? I'm sorry, I keep.
What impact do you hope your portrayal of Jules will have on viewers? So you talked about the alignment that you feel. Right.
I guess I want her to be relatable to some degree. I think what she's going through is pretty like relatable, as far as like high school relationships, and I know like for trans girls, this like finding these roots of affirmation that can oftentimes like be unhealthy. I know that's a reality. It's something I did, and yeah. So I guess I want her to feel relatable, because I think it's magic when you haven't seen someone like you on a screen your whole life, and then all of a sudden they're there, and you're just having all of these moments of like, oh my God, like I do that, or like what, and it's so surreal because it's on a, you know, this kind of untouchable portal that's just like been there your whole life, ignoring you, and now you're there. So I guess I hope that reaction is what happens, particularly for the trans community sometimes. Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit more about that. In terms of the social and cultural issues, how do you think Euphoria addresses those?
I mean, I don't know if it's the goal of the show. I don't think it's like why Sam wrote it to address like socio-political issues. I think at the end of the day, you know, it's like a product of him processing growing up as like a drug addict, and like how that changes your life as like a kid, and then also just like fleshing out this like vivid world around that. I feel like it's more of an art project than it is like a socio-political statement. I think that's the intention. But obviously we're touching on a lot of social and political like subjects, and you can't avoid that. So I mean, I think also a theme in the show is touching on like these really like dark, scary parts of people that usually are hidden to the best of everyone's ability. But I think like pretty much everyone has these fucking demons that we just get like a really close look at in the show. And I think the show always also makes me think about like what is a bad person, and like what constitutes being a bad person, and when are you beyond redemption. And I think it ties into like the themes that they deal with Rue and addiction, or with, you know, like all these girls doing these kind of like unforgivable dramatic things to each other, whether it's like the cheating or the lying or you know, it's all like, it's dark, but it's also relatable because it happens a lot in real life. So I don't know, and I still don't know like the answer to that, but I think that the show does a good job of like making me ask myself those questions. Yeah.
It's definitely relatable seeing those relationships on screen and kind of looking and reflecting into the relationships that we have here as college students. I want to talk about that relationship between Jules and Rue. How did you approach portraying that relationship?
Yeah. Also, that relationship was another reason I ended up taking on, or like saying yes to doing Jules. Because like not only was I lacking like trans representation, but trans lesbian representation, and I was in a, you know, I mean, it's cool. I was in a relationship, my first relationship, with another trans woman at the time, and it was something we dreamed about together all the time, of like what it would look like for a movie about, you know, two T-girls or something like that. And so I think like, yeah, that was another big part of my motivation with Euphoria and Jules. But what was the actual question again? Or wait.
It was about the relationship between Jules and Rue, and how did you approach that relationship?
Yeah. I mean, I know it's a controversial topic too. I've seen what the internet has to say about Rue and Jules, and I obviously understand their issues. But I think having been with the relationship and really kind of lived it out with Z from the start of the show, and filming it in order, and kind of really feeling out this initially very tender, sweet, and innocent, innocently intended love that they found for each other. I still am able to look past all of the shit, and I think this is what happens with actors a lot of the times in their characters, is they have to figure out how to justify what their character does in order to be able to play the character. So it might be why my point of view is a little skewed on the relationship. But I think, I have to continue to like recognize that tender innocence in the relationship in order to stay in tune with Jules, because I think that's where she lives at the end of the day too. Yeah.
So on that topic of actors and their characters, what was it like working with the other actors in the creative team? Alexa, Demi, Sydney Sweeney, I want to hear everything.
Yeah. We have such a fun cast. It is a great group of girls. I mean, like at the end of the day, it's like it's mostly about girls, the show. And I just feel so lucky to have, I feel like it's been a huge growing experience for all of us, and I feel lucky that we've been able to have each other through it, because I also don't think any of us anticipated the show to become what it's become, which is a beast now. Everyone's really special, and they're friends for life. And it's also strange because we don't see each other. A lot of us are really busy. We don't see each other a lot. But it's kind of like those friendships where you can leave or maybe not talk for a couple months, or like someone from back home or whatever. You go to school and then you come back, and then you can pick right back up where you left off, and that's what the cast feels like a lot. It's really familial because we've had to be really open and raw with each other and work crazy hours together, and we're lucky to have each other, the cast.
I mean, I have to second that myself. I was just telling Hunter backstage, I was on season 2, episode 3 of Euphoria as a background actor. So very fun set.
Full circle. Look at us. Wow.
It was indeed a 15-hour day. I can attest to that. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us about a particularly memorable experience on set?
God, I mean, there's a lot. Like picking out like one memory is kind of it's hard. You know who's Angus? Angus. All right, yeah, he's an angel. For anyone who doesn't know who Angus is, he plays Vesco on Euphoria. And he's an angel, and God, there's a lot of good stories of him on set, because he's also a goofball. God, it's hard. I feel on the spot. I know. What is it? Okay, wait. Can I come back to this question? Because I wanna find a good moment to share. I gotta stew on it. I gotta find one.
Yeah. Can you tell us? You can take some time to think about it. Can you tell us a little bit how it was like working with Sam?
Yeah. Sam has been, I think, the closest thing to like a mentor that I've had, and it's been like one of the most kind of life-changing artistic relationships I've ever had. I think because like half of the people that he ended up casting on Euphoria were like brand new actors, which is like risky. I think like if I were a showrunner, I would be very nervous about half of my cast having never been in front of a camera or read a script or something like that before. And for HBO to be pouring a lot of money into it and betting on these people. But he really believed in us, and also I think he kind of stepped outside of the director role to really have a hands-on, like he was like my acting teacher, and like was able to, I think, really like teach us how to like develop our like emotional intelligence and like using our head spaces and like using like our wounds and our past and our history, which is also part of why he casted us as like our superpowers and bringing them to the characters. And that's just been like it's priceless. Additionally, he also brought me on as like a co-writer and a co-producer for that special episode, which is also just, once again, it's dicey. HBO puts a lot of money into their shows, and to bring a 21-year-old like trans girl who's never screenwritten before onto like, making an episode of television for HBO is just like, it doesn't happen very often. And I think he gets like a lot of flack sometimes for, being a white guy who's writing a show with a really diverse, cast and writing for a lot of different backgrounds. But I also think he's really conscious of where he's putting his energy as far as like giving people opportunities who need them, and I was one of those people, and it's brilliant. So, yeah.
It's really great that the set is also a place where you're learning, and you get to dip your toes into other elements of acting and directing and everything that you've been able to do. I guess the vibe on set, you say obviously you have really great vibes, super fun environment. How do you separate that from the heavy scenes?
Well, I think everyone's really craving the lightness, like, or just like fun when we're not doing heavy scenes. And there's also, it's not an entirely heavy show. It's also, it's really funny, and we have some big personalities who are a part of the cast, and so I wouldn't say it's like hard to fall into these like really stupid head spaces too, where nobody can keep a straight face and whatever. And I think it's also just this like mass dissension into like some level of insanity, because we're working these insane hours every day for 10 months, and you get really comfortable with each other, and like people are gonna be weirdos, and yeah, that helps keep it light. But yeah, it's the same reason it's also a good safe space to get dark when you need to. It goes both ways.
Okay, I'm just dying to ask you, what can we expect from season 3?
I mean, y'all, I probably know as much as you do. There's been like some things like floating around, but Sam kind of disappears off the face of the earth when he's in his writing process, and I know that is happening now. I don't really know a lot. They're also pretty secretive, especially as the show gets bigger too. It's gotten kind of more locked down, even from the actors, until we're like ready to shoot. So I truly don't know. I know it'll be just as batshit as the first 2 seasons, and yeah, that's all I can say. I don't know.
Well, thank you for sharing that. We're so excited. I literally can't wait. No, it's just a taste. It's right. It's just what we needed, right? I have a really interesting question to ask you. So if you could play any other character, who would you be?
In Euphoria?
In Euphoria.
Ooh. Oh, dang. Whose character looked like so much fun last season was Eric Danes, Cal's character. He was so good, and he had the most unhinged set of scenes I have like ever seen for one character in a season of television. And I think like, well, it's also scary having to act in ways that are completely inappropriate and like just unhinged for scenes. It can also be really fun because it's kind of like some of the only circumstances where you're like allowed to scream at the top of your lungs and like you're supposed to be doing that, like those sort of things. And he got to have fun. So I don't know. I think playing the lunatic that is Cal Jacobs would have been fun in another world, you know.
Thank you for that. I think that's well said. I want to talk a little bit about some advocacy work. I know here at Cal State Fullerton, some of the resources that we provide to our students, we have some resource centers and we have the LGBTQ centers for our students. So how do you use your platform as a public figure to advocate for transgender rights? And I know earlier you spoke a lot about that feeling of seeing someone that is like you on screen and you're like, wow, like there's someone like me that's on screen. How do you use your platform?
Yeah, it's something that like I'm thinking about all the time and that I have to think about with every move in my career. And like everything I do that is public, it has to be a conversation like of like how that piece fits into everything. Because on one hand, I think the beginning of like my public stuff was tied into this bathroom bill in North Carolina called the HB2. It was passed like in like 2016, and I joined this lawsuit as a plaintiff for the ACLU against the state because the bathroom bill, they were trying to keep trans people out of the bathrooms that correlated with their gender identities. So like, I think at the beginning of like being public and starting to like have to say things and have people listen, I think I felt this pressure to like fill the shoes of like an activist or something along the lines of that, and then it kind of like took a while for me to realize like people who are activists should be activists, and at the end of the day, that's like not my gift. I don't think like words and public speaking and like the activism and stuff that falls under that. I don't think that's like where my strength lies as far as like making progress for the trans and LGBTQ community. And you know, like I've been talking about, I think it lies more in like making art and shows and or you know, whatever like the work that I'm doing, because it's also just like kind of radical to like be a trans person in a lot of the spaces that I'm like entering. Like there's not a lot of us out here still. So I feel like that's kind of, I've had to like let go of this pressure to speak, to like be a spokesperson and kind of be okay with the fact that the work that I'm doing is still in some way affecting the progression. Or you know, that's like the goal, you know. Someday I want to like be directing movies and casting trans people and like have fucking trans crews and everything, you know, like yeah, it's I think like trans people have like a really beautiful handle on like world building because we've sort of had to like build ourselves in a lot of ways, or rebuild ourselves, you know, and so I think that's why we make actors and artists and whatever. Like I think there's this inherent sense of like artistry that comes with it a lot of the time, and so yeah, that's what I'm working towards, and sometimes it feels like I'm not doing enough because I'm not like making posts for Trans Day of Visibility and whatever and making statements and stuff like that, but I know that like that's just I want to do the best I can in what I'm good at for that. Yeah, and sometimes it feels hard to be okay with that, but I'm working on that. Yeah.
I think we all kind of in life really end up where we're supposed to be. I think for me as ASI student body president, I spend a lot of my time lobbying for students and really just making sure students are able to express themselves, feel comfortable, and enhance their student experience. And you talk about this idea of creating this through art. I think a big influence on that is our media. So what are some, or how do you think media and entertainment can do a better job of representing and also including transgender people?
I mean, I was thinking about this too because there's a million different ways I could answer this. But I think speaking to stuff that I see happening right now, I think it's been interesting watching these like media corporations try and grapple with the fact that people aren't satisfied with the former like ways that like casting worked and like their solutions to that, I think has been like a lot of the time this weird form of tokenism, which is not only happening with trans people, it's happening with all minorities that are dealing with issues with representation. There's now, I think, this pressure to have a checklist when it these Netflix shows come out and you see the cast and it's like probably like 10 years ago it would have been like entirely white and cis, but you can just like tell a lot of the time that like they had producers or execs from higher up being like, oh no, the internet's gonna roast us if we don't get if we need to throw a black person in here and we need to throw a trans person in here, otherwise we're gonna get canceled. And I think it's lame because also the minorities that end up taking these kind of token roles get these characters that are just blah and nothing because the story like isn't, they're there to, check the boxes and like, so that the TV show can do well and make money at the end of the day. And like, that's where I think it's really important. Like the people who are writing those shows where that happens have no business writing for minorities anyways. So like, it's more about, hiring us to make the stuff instead of having these idiots, right? These lame characters, it's sad. It's really sad to like see, these trans characters get added or whatever to these casts and they're just like, it's a paper doll of a character. It's nothing. And they're just clearly there to like, take off the box. It pisses, obviously you can tell I'm a little worked up. It gets me worked up. I hate it. So that's something I think the industry can work on.
You definitely highlighted a huge concern. I think tokenism plays a big role, and for many of our students that are student actors or involved in the industry, they can, any actors anywhere honestly, can really see that happening. I want to talk a little bit about the misconceptions. What are some common misconceptions about transgender people that you would like to address?
Misconceptions. I guess it depends on who we're talking about having the perceptions. I've kind of been thinking about this a lot. I'm gonna like go broader with the question a little bit. I've kind of been thinking about I think what the internet has done to these movements, and I think there's becoming this overarching pressure for everyone to be down, And I love that utopian sort of like dream that everyone's going to be down for trans people and whatever, and that you know, everyone's going to be on the same page. But I also think it's kind of like it gets a little dangerous to have like the expectation that everyone is going to be okay with it, because it gets into like cultural differences. There's also like elements of the trans movement that fall into like Western culture a lot, and then there's like these weird colonial elements where these like Western things are getting pushed on to cultures that, like, you know, it might not fit in the same way, you know, and to like want the whole world or everyone to like be fighting for us is, I don't know, I've kind of like lost the hope or the desire for that. I'm more kind of interested in having a clear idea of who's with me and then like who's not, and I think that's totally fine. Like I don't need, you know, all the Trumpies to validate my gender identity. I don't want that from them. As long as they're not, the only issue that this like is really creating is that these idiots are getting in positions of power and creating legislation that's making our lives harder. And like that's the crossover. I'm like, okay, these people, I need to convince them of like my humanity or whatever, because that's not working. But if they're over there and I'm over here, I don't need you to validate my gender identity. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want you to be like a part of my life. And I think like that's something that I've been trying to get more comfortable with too, is the idea that, like, you know, not everyone's gonna, you know, I get called a man, you know, hundreds of times a day on the internet, and like it's just so, I'm like, I know who I am, my community knows who I am, I know I'm seen the right way by those people, and fuck those people, like, you know.
Truly, thank you for your honesty and your vulnerability on kind of talking about your art through advocacy and trans representation when it comes to media and film. I want to take a little transition into a few questions. We call this the Inside the Actors Studio questions. So just quick little questions we're going to ask you. Are you ready?
Yeah, sure, let's do it.
All right, let's do it. What is your least favorite word?
Ooh, least favorite word? Oh, damn it! I didn't look at these questions. Least favorite word? Can I come back to it? I gotta think about that.
It's not gonna get any easier.
Okay. Oh no.
What sound or noise do you love?
What sound or noise do I love? Coffee machine. Like, you know, like the bubbly little like white noise that it kind of makes. Yeah, really nice sound.
What sound or noise do you hate?
The like air horns that DJs play sometimes, where it's like ew, 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 like that thing. That's awful.
Yeah.
That should be banned.
What profession other than your own would you like to have?
Ooh, a dancer. Sometimes I wish I, you know, you got to start that stuff when you're like a kid though, so I feel like it's a little late, but that would have been fun.
Awesome. Those are our Inside the Actors Studio questions.
Cool.
I do have a final question for you.
All right.
I think this is really important for our students to hear. What are some last words of advice you would like to give to students?
Ooh. Oh God, it's kind of hard to like. I feel like this has got to be, it's got to be poignant. I think, I guess what I knew when I was a little younger, I'm not that much older than y'all, but is the importance of maintaining a personal practice and doing stuff just for you, even if you're not going to put it out into the world. I think I talked a lot about today, like, you know, advocating for yourself and making it clear who you are as an artist so that you can make something out of that as a career. But I think it's also just as important, if not more important, to be making stuff that's just for you and that no one's gonna see, and because I think also when you start turning your craft into a job or something that you are, you know, you're gonna start thinking about how people are gonna receive it and how certain elements of it are gonna be profitable to some degree or whatever, and that can really kill your, you know, your little creative like soul, like the thing that makes you want to make things, and it's kind of like hard to articulate what that is, but it's magical, and it can get dampened by, you know, this pressure to make money and make a career off of it, and I think it's so much more important to stay tapped into that than to, you know, try and get rich off of this stuff. So yeah, I should also listen to that because, yeah, personal practice is hard to keep up, but it's really important. So I would say that.
Yes, so thank you so much, Hunter. I want to say thank you so much for allowing me this opportunity to ask you some questions. I want to open it up. Kia is going to take this and get some student questions from the audience.
And thank you so much. You were such a great moderator.
Thank you, Lydia. Stay there.
Thank you.
So I'm going to, Hunter, I'll have a couple of students come up and we'll ask
cool.
a question.
Yeah.
So come on up. Yeah. Yeah, come on. All right. Give us your name and your major.
Hi, my name is RJ. My pronouns are they, he. I'm a Asian American Studies major and cinema and television arts minor.
Amazing. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, it's nice to meet you. Yeah. So, sorry, I'm like giddy, like, ooh. My question is, you know, I definitely, I'm trying to get into the acting industry too as a trans person, and I know it's very hard, right? We talk about the industry so many times, and I think, how do you find trans joy, and how does that push you to continue your work? And yeah, what does trans joy look like to you?
Yeah.
Beautiful question.
Thank you. I mean, honestly, I feel like if we're talking about like industry stuff and I think a lot of the times like my like trans joy often comes when I'm not having to think about like being trans and all of that stuff. I think like being trans in the industry right now is still like it's like a commodity in a ways, and you end up having to talk about it like a lot and navigate it when you're like looking for roles or auditioning for stuff, and like that it's always going to be an element. And so I feel like I don't know, it's really exciting to me when you get to like fall into a character, some sort of element of performance or something where I'm not even having to think about it, and I'm just like being me, and there's no like filters happening. Yeah, I don't know if if that makes sense, but yeah.
Thank you. One more. I see you in the middle. Come on.
Thank you for the question.
Here we go. Oh, and I love the shirt.
Hi.
Hi.
Oh my goodness.
My name is Diego de la Isla. I'm a psych major. I've also been the one that was yelling in the crowd, so I'm so sorry about that.
Okay.
I can't believe I'm talking to you.
Thank you for the enthusiasm.
So my question is that I've been someone who has always been fascinated by the fashion community and just the fashion industry, and I'm always stunned by your looks, especially with you being a Prada ambassador.
Thank you.
So my question is for you is that whenever you're going into like your red carpet looks, how much creative direction do you have in collaborating with the designers and everything else? I'm so sorry, my voice is so shaky.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Thank you for the question. Honestly, as a former fashion girly who really, just like loved it, watched all the runway shows every fashion week and whatever, I still keep up with it. I'm still a bit of a nerd in the fashion realm, which makes me a bit of a control freak with my looks a lot of the time. It gets a little more complicated, with like the carpets and events, because sometimes there's like certain vibes you have to serve that might not be what you would be serving independently. So you kind of have to like think about those things a little bit. But mostly I just like to, go through Vogue Runway and I love keeping up with my favorite designers and keeping a list and having long conversations with my stylist and kind of dreaming about it. It's one of the more fun parts of the job, I would say, where there's not too much worry. I just kind of like have fun with it, and wear what I want to wear. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So that was our last question, but we do a group selfie. This is our tradition. And so you just stand up here,
okay,
and then I will invite folks to come up, and everyone will stand and take a picture like that.
Okay. Like I take the picture?
No, you don't. You're just standing right here.
Okay.
Cool. Come on up, folks.
Do it.
Everyone come closer to the stage. Hold on, let me out.
Oh my God.
Go slow. And we'll do 2 pictures. So hold on, everyone, we'll do 2 pictures, so stop. And then we'll do another group in a minute. So everybody in the aisles we'll do another picture, okay? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Woo! Okay, everyone move so that the other group folks in the aisle can do it. So everybody go to the left. Let's go, to the left. Be like Beyonce, let's go. Everyone move to the left so we can let the folks in the aisle so they can get the same picture. Come on. To the left, everyone. Hunter, step back, Hunter, so right there. Okay, next group, folks. All of you, be fair, let the other students come up. Hold on, okay. Hold on a second, excuse me. Watch behind everyone, go ahead and move from the front of the stage. Thank you. Julia. Everyone go ahead and remove from this front of the stage. Okay. There we go.
Sorry.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so let's turn it here. So we just
Turn this way?
okay. Okay, folks, all of you go. Get out of here. Because you're not listening to me. Go on. So that they can do the next group. Go ahead and go. Are we good Titans? Let your other friends come on. Come on, new Titans who didn't have, that was in the aisle. Let them have a chance. Go on, folks to the left, to the right. Come on, turn around. Okay, we're not going to do autographs. We're just going to turn around. So get close. Okay, one more time. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Cheese! All right, thank you. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Hunter.